After World War II, the world transformed dramatically, splitting into two powerful blocs. On one side, we had the United States, a beacon of capitalism and democracy, promoting individual freedoms and free markets. This was a time of innovation, with the American dream inspiring millions to strive for prosperity. On the other side stood the Soviet Union, advocating for communism and centralized economies, where the state controlled resources and aimed for equality among its citizens. This ideological clash fueled the Cold War, a tense standoff marked by espionage, propaganda, and proxy wars. Nations were forced to choose sides, leading to alliances like NATO and the Warsaw Pact. The world was not just divided geographically, but also in ideas, shaping global politics for decades to come. The struggle between these two visions of society defined an era, influencing everything from culture to technology, and its echoes are still felt today. The Cold War was a period of intense strategic rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union that lasted from the end of World War II to the early 1990s. It was a conflict fought not on battlefields between armies, but on many fronts, including politics, ideology, military affairs, and economics. After World War II, the world became divided into two major blocs, one led by the United States, which championed capitalism and democracy, and the other led by the Soviet Union, which advocated communism and centralized economies. This deep ideological divide set the stage for decades of competition that would go on to shape the modern world. One key element of the Cold War was the arms race and the ever-looming nuclear threat. Both sides built up vast nuclear arsenals, and the idea of mutual assured destruction meant that any direct conflict could lead to catastrophic consequences. Moments like the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world to the brink of nuclear war and showed how high the stakes really were. Another important aspect was the series of proxy wars fought around the globe. In Korea, the United States and its allies supported South Korea, while the Soviet Union and China backed North Korea. In Vietnam, the United States intervened to stop the spread of communism, though that conflict eventually ended in a difficult withdrawal. Likewise, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the 1980s was countered by American support for the Afghan resistance, leading to a long, drawn-out conflict and ultimately a Soviet pullout. The Cold War was also marked by a fierce competition in space. The Soviet Union shocked the world by launching Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. In response, the United States launched the Apollo program and achieved the historic landing on the moon in 1969. This space race was not only about scientific achievement, but was also a demonstration of technological superiority. There was also an intense battle in the realm of intelligence and propaganda. Agencies like the CIA and the KGB engaged in covert operations and espionage all around the world. Both sides used media, films, and literature to spread their ideas and influence public opinion. Eventually, the Cold War came to an end, as reforms under Mikhail Gorbachev in the Soviet Union introduced policies of openness and restructuring. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 symbolized the collapse of Soviet influence in Eastern Europe. By 1991, the Soviet Union had dissolved, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a new global order. Today, the legacy of the Cold War continues to shape international relations and echoes in the ongoing competition between the United States and Russia. This overview of the Cold War shows how a period of strategic rivalry reshaped the world and left a lasting impact on global politics. Enjoy this journey through history and reflect on how these events still influence our modern world.